It's the end of December. Let's talk about what I read this month here on Drew's Book Reviews. Stay tuned, that's coming right up. Good day, good day, good day. Let's talk about what I read here in the month of December and how I finished out the year with my reading and the total number of books I officially completed this year in 2022. So let's talk about it. So first off, I want to say it's been an awesome year of reading in general. I've read a lot of really great books this year, but let's talk specifically about what I read in December. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought down below. I'd love to hear from you. At the start of these videos, I like to just talk briefly about my Goodreads goal. So I'd set a goal for 75 reads this year, and I not only accomplished that, I surpassed that goal at 77 reads. This year, you'll probably notice in my upcoming year-end review video, I said I hit 75 because I actually filmed that one before I filmed this one. But what I did this year is a total of 77 books as of the day of filming this video. And that's just awesome. It just feels good to exceed my goal for the year. I might even make it to 78. Depends. We'll see how things go. Possibly 78 if I could just push through it. I've got about, as of the day of film, about 5 days left in the month, so we'll see. But definitely I did 77. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about what did I read this month here in December. So the first books that I'm going to talk about are Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence. So we have Book 2, which is Grey Sister, followed up by Book 3, Holy Sister. So this is the Book of the Ancestor trilogy by Mark Lawrence. Now, overall, this series was okay. It wasn't the best fantasy I've read, certainly not the worst. It was okay. It was good enough for me to continue the series and read it, but I also think I'm kind of easy to please a lot of the time, so maybe if I'm just thinking it's okay, it's not super great. I don't know. Anyway, these two books, Grey Sister and Holy Sister, from Book of the Ancestor trilogy, warrior nuns on this world that is basically an ice ball with a corridor ringing around the equator about 50 miles wide, which is the only livable space on the entire planet. And the entire society is set up with these legends about these ship hearts, which are from their ancestors who came to this world seeking a new home. And the ship hearts, which I gather from the context of the story, are basically the very things that powered these ships that brought their people to this planet in the first place. And so the story kind of surrounds the legend, myth, and religion of the ancestor and the ship hearts and all that good stuff. It wasn't bad. It was okay, not great. I think I gave Holy Sister 2.5 stars. So sounds pretty low, but it's kind of like 50%. It's like, it's all right. Overall, I guess maybe I'm just not a fan of Mark Lawrence. I don't know. This is the second series by Mark Lawrence I've read that I just thought was okay. Not the greatest. Prince of Thorns, I kind of felt the same way. It wasn't bad. It was all right. But definitely not the greatest fantasy out there for sure. So I guess maybe I'm just not a Mark Lawrence fan. I really don't see myself picking up much more of Mark Lawrence's books. Maybe one day, we'll see. You never know, right? One of the other books that I finished this month was Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. This is an absolutely hilarious read. It is fundamentally about the power of belief to shape our reality. And death has taken over the role of Santa Claus in order to keep the spirit of Hogswatch Night and the Hogfather alive so that it might live and continue, because there are those that are trying to end the Hogfather and end this whole idea and concept and belief. It's such a good story. Anytime Terry Pratchett writes a Discworld, it's good, it's hilarious, it's awesome. But when you get the Hogfather involved and you get death involved, it's even funnier. I have yet to read a death book in this series I didn't like. Honestly, there isn't a Discworld book I don't like. But overall, this was just a fantastic read. Great Christmas read. It was a perfect book to read in December because Hogswatch Night and the Hogfather is really Santa Claus and all about the Christmas spirit. Discworld's version of Christmas anyway. I know some people on the Discord have mentioned they read, I'm pretty sure somebody on the Discord mentioned that they read it every year, if not on my Discord, on somebody else's Discord, but somebody's mentioned that they read it every year at Christmas time. I can understand why. It's such a good read. So much fun. So, Hogfather by Terry Pratchett was a fantastic and fun read. Two of the other books that I got to reading this month were from the Foundation universe. So I picked up Foundation and Empire, followed up by Second Foundation. So these are two books, science fiction classics. Foundation as a whole is a classic of sci-fi, and I hope to do a whole Foundation universe series review at some point, probably sometime in the new year once I finish rereading all the Foundation books. But the concept is, it's the future of humanity, tens of thousands of years in the future, and Earth has become myth and legend, and there's a galactic empire that is collapsing, has collapsed, and the universe reverts back to a barbarous state, barbarian, primitive state essentially, and only the psychohistory of Harry Seldon can prevent a 30,000-year dark period and dark age for the galaxy. So this is just an interesting read, good concept, interesting grand scope sci-fi. So if you're into that big epic sci-fi, this is probably a series you want to check out. I know I'm certainly enjoying it. I'm rereading it for the first time, essentially. It's like reading it for the first time again when it's been so long since I've read this series, because it has been well over 20 years, and it really is like reading it again for the first time. I'm absolutely enjoying that as well. One of the other books that I read this month was my nonfiction read of the month. Something I've been doing for the past year or two is reading one nonfiction book per month. And this is, for the moment, the last time I'm going to be doing it. Not that I'm going to stop reading nonfiction. I do want to keep reading nonfiction once I get some more, but I don't really have much more on the shelf at the moment for nonfiction reads, so eventually I will again. But this month's nonfiction was A Universe from Nothing by Lawrence M. Krauss. So this is all about, how did the universe literally come from nothing? How is that even possible? It doesn't make sense. Well, if you read Lawrence Krauss's book, well, let's be honest, it might still not make any sense. But it's still a very interesting subject when thinking about a universe from nothing and how that came to be. What happened with it? How is that even possible? I don't know. But there you have it, A Universe from Nothing by Lawrence M. Krauss. That is one that is going to be an interesting read, or was an interesting read. And I really enjoyed just kind of getting into the fundamental question, how the universe came from nothing and how, under the laws of physics and string theory, that's even possible. So that was one I certainly enjoyed. One of the things that I started this month as well was something that I was really looking forward to. Again, this is something that had been so long since I'd read it, and I certainly forgot some aspects of the story, and some things happen in ways that I don't remember them happening from my initial reread, so it's always kind of fun to go back and reread. This is a story and a series that when I first read, I really found that I absolutely loved and fell in love with this series, and I am still enjoying it quite a bit. And that is going to be Terry Goodkind's Sword of Truth series. I picked up Wizard's First Rule, so I started my reread of this series. This is my really old copy, and as you can see, it is old and ragged. It's literally being held together with tape for the first few pages. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's definitely an old and well-loved copy of this book. And Wizard's First Rule, I picked that up and started my reread of Terry Goodkind's Sword of Truth series, which I'll be continuing into the new year, which I'll talk a little bit more in my 2023 video. This is the series that I got some of the names from my kids from, Kaylin and Kara. Really enjoyed my reread of Wizard's First Rule, and I look forward to continuing it. Stay tuned for my review on this, because this is actually the Viewer's Choice Poll book review that you, my viewers, voted on to be reviewed. So I will be posting a review on this book sometime in the month of January, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But Wizard's First Rule. And that actually leads perfectly into what am I reading currently as of the end of this month. So books that I started this month but have not finished this month. One of them, of course, is going to be Stone of Tears. This is the second book in the Sword of Truth series. So I started this book this month here in December. I'm not going to finish it till sometime in January, which is why it's also technically included in my January reads. So Stone of Tears is the book 2. Now this 980 pages. This is one of those series that has big, thick, long books within this series. Epic scope, epic fantasy overall. It's one of those vast scope, big fantasy series that are so common and so popular amongst the fantasy writers. So book 2, I am currently reading Stone of Tears from the Sword of Truth. The last book that I'm reading this month that I started right towards the end of the month, and I might finish it, maybe, I don't know, it's possible, who knows, probably not, but I'll get most of the way through it before the end of the month, and that is going to be The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. So this is one of those books that I'd heard a lot about on BookTube, and I made my December to be read, and so The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang is one that I've been interested in reading. It is historical Asian-inspired fantasy, from what I understand, inspired by the Poppy Wars from Asia a couple hundred years ago. I don't know, 1700s, something like that. I don't actually really know when the Poppy Wars happened, but as I understand, this book is a historical fantasy inspired by the Poppy Wars in Asia. So The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I'm currently reading that one. It's one I've been looking forward to, so it'll be interesting to see how I enjoy that one. I may do a review on it, or a short review. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens once I'm done reading The Poppy War. So that is what I read in December, and I'm currently reading as of the day of filming, and probably as of the day of posting this video as well. So let me know in the comments down below, what did you read in the month of December? I'd love to hear from you. Join me on my Discord. Join me on Bookstagram. You could follow me down there. You could follow me on Hardcover as well. I'll have that all linked below. And overall, I hope you had a fantastic month of reading. I certainly had a good month of reading, and I'm looking forward to many, many more months of good reading ahead. Thank you so much for watching. And, you know, the usual, like, comment, subscribe, and as always, until next time, keep on reading. Bye!